Pension Amendment Bill number 45 of 2019 that seeks to increase the pension of former members of parliament who served between 1st July 1984 to 1st January 2001 to a minimum of 100,000 shillings per month. According to civil society members, the bill is a malicious move by members of parliament to benefit themselves while overburdening the taxpayers, something they will not be party to. They are now calling on the president to reject the bill that is currently awaiting presidential assent.
Mentioned. And just to reiterate that we as civil society are greatly disturbed by this move, which is not entirely new, as we have seen attempts from both governments at all levels to misuse taxpayers' money. So on to our statement. We wish to remind the President of Kenya and all leaders in Kenya that state and public servants only represent 17% of the population of Kenya. Thus, the attempt to continue advancing disproportionate benefits to them at the expense of other Kenyans must be resisted. Indeed, this is a misguided move that seeks to perpetuate the culture of white-collar jobs that are limited. We do know as Kenyans that a significant portion of Kenyans are in the informal sector. That is the large number of Kenyans who contribute to tax in our country. But when the policy options that government takes seeks to solidify payment to a specific group, then this is very unjust, and we must resist this at all costs. As the President calls upon the youth to take up technical skills and self-employ in the informal sector, the government's policy choices must then be in tandem with this call from the President. Taxes that will fund the pensions that the members of Parliament are pushing for are collected both.
And away from that, Migori Governor Okoth Obado was put to task to explain how 1.5 billion shillings was spent of FMIS in the financial year 2017-2018. Appearing before the County Public Accounts Committee chaired by Kisii Senator Sam Ongeri, Governor Obado was also at pains to explain how 153 million shillings was spent on payment of employees without proper documentation.
074603, it is only strictly from the permanent employees. So, what have you done? Have you now then updated the IPPD since then? I know, Governor, you had raised an issue of a fire, burning your documents. But I've looked at the auditor's opinion for subsequent years, all the way from 2013. In fact, 2013-2014 is the only time you got a qualified opinion. But subsequent years, they have all been disclaimers. There has been a constant limitation of scope. So that issue of fire is neither here nor there, because that seems to have been the tradition in Migori. What are we doing with this 153 million? Has this now been reconciled as per the auditor's query? Or it is still hanging out there and people have been paid and cannot really be attested whether they are employees, permanent employees, not temporary employees?
Governor, the way forward.
Can you answer the question?
That's what I'm asking. You should give us a way forward. What you have done.
I need that question answered, please.
Million which was paid to workers who are not in RPPD. Since then, the National Treasury had already sent the personal numbers. So going forward, even today, if you come to Migori, you will not get this 153 being paid through vouchers. Because they were employed, yes, but the National Treasury took time before they could send the personal numbers so that they could go through the RPPD. But now, Chair, I think most of the people working in Migori, apart from the temporary staff, the casuals, they have got personal numbers, most of them. So we are not going to see this one going forward. And the auditor did not capture 2.4, they captured less, because they did not include most of the vouchers, those who are being paid by vouchers. So when they do the reconciliation, then they figure now 2.4, not 2.3. So the auditor, I think, can confirm whether this thing has been reconciled And this is a figure appearing in our final statement correctly, not 2.3.
Chair,
Chair,
this,
Lakina,
this
Maruma, let's be brief now.
that 2.2 was reconciled. 153 was not reconciled. Can you then now provide us documents to show that you have further reconciled the 153 million and you put it on the IPPD? Because as we stand, Governor, I don't want to lie to you. When I sit down to write this report, I'll put your documents on the table. I will say, I need to see this reconciliation. Otherwise, I'll just be lying to you here. So if you can please answer the question as asked, it will help us be able to move forward.
Governor?
Now, Mr. Chairman, I think what we have here is that, and it's stated here that 2.33 basic wages. He gave his breakdown here, which can be found, which we can find in page 9. The global figure, the gross figure is 2.44. Now, on page 10, Mr. Chairman, is my response. And it is totaling 2.44. We have broken this thing down. 2.192 basic salaries of permanent employees. Attachments are there to confirm that figure. Of payment vouchers totaling 147. Temporary employees, and you have seen a sample of the payment vouchers of 147. The temporary employees, 100. So, Mr. Chairman, that analysis is totaling 2.44.
Just on a point of order.
I need to be guided.
On a point of order, Chair.
But he's answering your question.
No, because, the question is not being answered. Governor, I'm trying to help you here. Please do me a favor. Pick
2440
535 869
yeah,
minus 2287 461 266 2287. Just write it down, please.
Where
Don't look for it. Just write it. It's in the audit query.
I need to see it, Chairman. It is here. 2287.
Right, 2287 461 266. Now, please minus the two figures and tell me what figure you are getting.
It gets 3 0.
Let's do basic arithmetics.
4 7 0. Then 3 153.
You get 153,074,603. Correct?
Yeah.
Now, let me take you back to the audit query. Look at the figure 2.440 535,869. Okay?
Yeah.
That figure is the basic salary of 2.339.
Well, we'll get details of the same later on our subsequent bulletins. Now, let's proceed to a different story altogether. Members of the Mijikenda community in Malindi yesterday kicked off celebrations to mark the annual commemoration of celebrated freedom fighter Mekatilili Wamenza despite COVID-19. Leaders in the community used the occasion to thank Google Kenya for bestowing the heroine the honor of using her doodle image on its search engine to signify her contribution to Kenya's independence. The Malindi District Cultural Association, Madika, which holds elaborate celebrations to commemorate the heroine every August, led its members to celebrate Mekatilili at Malindi Town's Uhuru Garden, where the freedom fighters' statue stands. Now, they offered oblations and prayers and sang traditional songs and dirges to honor the Mijikenda woman reputed for slapping a white man for demeaning Africans, an action that is believed to have ignited the agitation for freedom in the country.
Tunataka kuambia Wakenya wote kwamba leo ndio sikukuu ambayo tunamwenzi Mama Mekatilili wa Menza. Tunashukuru hivi juzi tumesikia watu wa Google wamemheshimu pia ulimwengu mzima. Wamemweka kitengo kikubwa sana. Kwa hivyo sisi Wakenya tunataka tusherekee na yeye japo kwa njia ambayo ni ya si ya kiwango ambacho tungekuwa tumekitegemea. Asanteni sana Wakenya, Mungu ambariki. Mungu abariki Kenya, Mungu abariki Wakenya. Asanteni sana. Masuala ya kisiasa ni kwamba sisi ndio waanzilishi wa harakati za uhuru hapa Kenya. Na viongozi wetu wanastahili kulifahamu hilo na kulizingatia. Lakini tunavyoona ni kwamba si mno kwamba wao wanashughulika na jambo hili. Ni masikitiko yetu makubwa sana kwamba viongozi wetu hata pale pahali ambapo pamepigwa kofi ule mzungu kama Baba Gitu alivyosema, wengine hawajafika. Kwa hivyo tunatoa mwito kwamba viongozi wetu pamoja na wanapwani na Kenya nzima wawe wanaweza kujua historia ya ukombozi wa Kenya. Maana hiyo ndio imetufanya sisi tuko katika maofisi makubwa. Kama si wao wa mashujaa kufanya vile walivyofanya, labda leo hatungekuwa na bendera ile ambayo tunayo. Kwa hivyo tunataka kutoa tu
The deaf and dumb community in Kakamega is accusing the county government of neglect in the process of mobilizing and training on ways to combat the spread of COVID-19. Led by their chairperson, Abel Omar, they now want the government to ensure that their interests are fully addressed.
We, as the deaf community, we have not accessed the information about COVID. At the same time, on the behalf of the deaf community, we don't have the special marked atmosphere I've already said. So I'm recommending that the county government, if possible, can do something for the deaf community. Same time, the update that they are giving on the COVID, the deaf also can access the information. And another problem also I'm seeing, they are training the health community workers. But my question, where is the people's ability? My question, where is the deaf community? Because the deaf community also must be trained on how they can protect themselves from the COVID. It's not a matter of training the health community workers. The health community worker will only target the common other people. But when it comes to the deaf, this is a special group that should be given a special attention. So that is my request I'm asking. Same time, the deaf also at this moment, they also need support like food and many other. So if the county government can do something.
Nimekuwa nikipeana mchango wangu kwa wakati mgumu wa corona. Nimekuwa nikipeana kuku kwa vikundi tofauti tofauti, wa mama, vijana, wazee, walemavu, na kila kikundi kimekuwa kikipata kuku 100. Kwa hivyo leo nina furaha sana. Baadhi ya vile vikundi ambavyo vimepata, kuna kikundi cha walemavu ambao wasiokuwa na uwezo wa kuona, wa kusikia wala kuzungumza, ambao pia wameweza kupata kuku leo.
Residents of Flamingo area in Nakuru County have complained of poor waste disposal. Garbage is dumped on the roadsides in the area, rendering efforts of the Kazim Tani project useless. The residents decry air pollution and are living in fear of a possible outbreak of diseases brought about by poor waste disposal and poor sanitation. The Flamingo Road connects Nakuru town and the Nakuru National Park. The area impassable is now impassable.
Hiyo kazi yote, kwa nini uchafu inaletwa inakuwa ndio hapa ndio straw? Na kuna mahali inafaa kuwekwa, ina mahali pake. Na wakati wale walikuwa natoa, hao wakubwa yao inafaa walikuwa wachipange, walete lori. Wakati hiyo takataka inatolewa, kuna wenye wanatoa hiyo takataka kuweka kwa lori inaenda kwenye nafaa. Sasa hapa inaonekana kila mtu anaona hapa ndio imewekwa, na kila mtu sasa hata anatoa kwa nyumba yake analeta hapa.
Takataka imekuwa hapa for almost a month. actually inaleta harufu mbaya na mauvundo. Tulikuwa tunaomba at least kaya inaweza kutolewa ndo hii area ikuwe pasafi.
Si vizuri kuona takataka iko hivi juu mvua ikinyesha mingi unapata maji ipiti juu drainage iko inaziba hizo mitaro, maji huwa ipiti. Na ni vizuri ingekuwa vizuri kama wangekuja kutoa hizi vitu hapa ili maji iweze kupita. Juu hii uchafu kiendelea hapa itaongeza magonjwa zingine.
Now, back to Nairobi, and all eyes are set on the Nairobi County Assembly as they move in to vote their third speaker following the resignation of Beatrice Elachi. However, the voting will be conducted virtually with only the House leadership present in the chambers. Now, the standing orders announced by Deputy Speaker, that is Kamangu, say that they will be applied in the virtual sitting, as Mwangi Maina reports right now and is following up on the same. Mwangi, if you can hear me.
Well, thank you so much, Linda Lela. We are live here from the City Hall, or rather the County Assembly of Nairobi, where the elections of the new county speaker are expected to take place this afternoon, just few days after the speaker, Beatrice Elachi, resigned. We understand that today's elections will be done virtually, where the MCAs will be voting via Zoom. And in this county assembly, or rather the hall today, we only have very few members of the leadership of the House leadership, the majority leader, the minority leader and their deputies, and of course the clerk and some 2 members of the county assembly board. The elections will be presided over by the Deputy Speaker, John Kamangu, who will be here. And we understand that some members of the Jubilee Party, or rather the MCAs of the Jubilee Party, the 66 of them are at Pangani, the Jubilee Party headquarters, where they will be voting from. Linda, remember that the Jubilee Party has already endorsed Benson, the former Makadara MP, to be their candidate. And Tuju yesterday said that all the Jubilee MCAs are supposed to vote for that candidate among us the 7 people who had shown interest in the county speaker seat. And of course, one of them surrendered, or one of them withdrew from the race. So at 2:30, that is when the voting will begin. Of course, it will be controlled from the assembly, and of course the members will be allowed to vote. The deputy speaker has already issued the standing orders, of which the members of the county assembly are expected to follow during the voting. Where we are right now, here we can see the road here, the Wabera Street, has already been barricaded by police. There is a heavy police presence around this place, including inside the county assembly, just in case there will be any fracas. And of course, we expect that after the members of the county assembly vote, the results will be announced, and now the clerk of the assembly, who is the acting clerk as now, Pauline Akuku, will declare the results and will give the oath of affirmation to the newly elected county speaker. It is expected that the person or the candidate who will have the 2/3 majority of the votes will be declared the winner. And just in case there will be no candidate who will be endorsed by 2/3, which is the 81 members of the county assembly, the candidate with the highest number of votes will be declared the winner and will be sworn into office today. Linda, back to in studio. It is a story that we'll be keeping in tabs with you, and will inform you of the unfoldings that will take place here at the city hall, or rather the county assembly of Nairobi.
We'll definitely be waiting for that, Mwangi Maina. Thank you so much for the comprehensive report right there. And it's now on that very note that Newsfeed takes a short break. We'll be right back with more news. Well, thank you for choosing to stay with us. Let's proceed with more news. As Kenya Power and Lightning Company has been forced to replace some of its poles in Marura Estate in outskirts of Eldoret town following an outcry from the residents after the poles were left hanging dangerously following heavy rains. A spot check along a 10-kilometer stretch showed that most of the poles were left either in the middle of the very close to the water drainage system after a road expansion exercise. The KPLC North Rift manager Kipkemoy Kibias blamed the situation on the lack of proper consultations between the road agencies and other organizations that run utilities along the roads. Kakamega Senator Cleopas Malala has come under sharp criticism over his involvement in the demonstrations witnessed in Kakamega town during the visit of Health CS Mutahi Kagwe last week. Former councillors in the county say it is the high time that leaders joined hands with Governor Wycliffe Oparanya to enable him achieve the set agenda from the county instead of involving in divisive politics that will only derail development in Kakamega. Malala led a group of small business holders to protest over demolition of kiosks in Kakamega just moments before arrival of Kagwe. The protesters blocked and pelted stones at the CS's motorcade in Kakamega town. It took the intervention of the president to call off the demonstrations.
Mahali ambapo Mheshimiwa Kagwe ameenda hakuna waliofanya mambo kama vile Kakamega County imefanyika. Wale senators wa Kakamega tunawaambia kwamba mnahitaji kumsaidia Mheshimiwa Governor. Governor yeyote anayekuja hapa, sijui mmerogwa na nani ama nani aliwalani, kutoka kwa senator wa kwanza mpaka sasa wanapiga, badala ya kuunga mkono maendeleo, wanapinga maendeleo inayoendelea hapa kwetu. Kwa hivyo tunasema hivi, wakati huu viongozi wanaochaguliwa lazima sisi watu wa Kakamega tutafikiria tena.
Wakati kiongozi kama Mutahi Kagwe anakuja mahali hapa kukuja kututembelea, kukuja kutuambia jinsi tumeweza kufanya mambo kujikinga na mambo ya corona, ilikuwa aibu kabisa jinsi mwenzangu amesema. Na maendeleo ikitaka kuletwa mahali ni lazima kuwe na njia mbadala tena ya kuhamisha watu kuwaweka pahali fulani.
Now, away from that, the amount of plastic waste flowing into the ocean and killing marine life could triple in the next 20 years unless companies and governments can drastically reduce plastic production. This, according to a new study published by an NGO named International Solid Waste Association.
Alarm has been raised over the increase of single-use plastic consumption during the coronavirus pandemic period. Face masks and latex gloves wash up daily onto Asia's and other remote beaches across the world. In 1950, the global plastic production totaled to 2 million tons. However, in 2017, that number was 348 million tons and is expected to double up again by 2040, the study estimates, posing more danger.
So people are experiencing the impacts, they're seeing it, and the biggest problem to all of this is it's going to get worse if we don't do anything.
A new research conducted by scientists and industry experts for the Pew Charitable Trust and Systemic has come up with ways that could cut the projected volume of plastic entering the ocean by more than 80%.
And our report is fairly strong in saying that the most efficient solution to get out of the crisis is, in fact, to dematerialize our our demand for what today is single-use plastic.
The plastic industry has lobbied against government bans on single-use plastic. Some of the biggest buyers of plastic are consumer goods companies like Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, Nestle and Unilever. The companies have made commitments to use a greater amount of recycled plastics in the future. Governments are in the process of implementing laws to discourage new plastic production and provide subsidies for reusable alternatives. Africa is leading in the charge against plastic pollution, with 34 countries adopting restrictions on plastic bags. In 2017, Kenya imposed one of the world's toughest bans on plastic bags, with charges of up to 4 years in prison or 4 million shillings in fines for producing, selling or even using them. Lack of enforcement and strict policy by authorities of its own law has, however, left citizens sabotaging the efforts.
And that very story marks the end of a Newsfeed this afternoon. Looking forward to see you some other time. Thank you so much for keeping me company. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing as you await more news on our subsequent programs.